What's going on? Wonderful people. Thank you for stopping by. You got Sturkey's here. I'm going to be recapping one of my battles that I played this last week. We played Ball in the California Clobbopus. I've never beaten Ball in a match before, and he's a very, very good battler. Huge threat every year. This is a makeup match. I think it was supposed to be my week 7 match. Fighting it in week 10, it gets confusing. Sometimes life just happens that way, and we play matches a few weeks later, and it really doesn't matter because everyone's usually down with it. I just can't remember which week of match I'm bringing you, but at the time we were playing, I can't tell you my record because I actually played this match after my week 10 match, but I wanted to save my week 10 match for last. I think he was 2-4. And he had like 4 matches to play in a week. He played 3 of them and forfeited 1. And let's just say he had a good week. He played really well, like anyone would expect. Props to him for getting that many matches done so we could get playoffs going on time. I know when life gets crazy, it's hard to sometimes prioritize Pokemon, as crazy as that may sound. But no, it's very much so true. There are a lot of very more important things, but it was really classy and cool of him to be able to still get his matches in despite not having a whole lot of time to do so. His team's really scary. Looking at it, you see Gengar, who's always a huge threat, to come in and get a ton of kills. Very fast, good speed, good coverage to hit most things. Hawlucha with Terrain. As you can see, he's got Pincurchin. Under Terrain is a beast, but really even without Terrain. Running close combat and White Herb, running it choiced, just a whole lot of things it can do to make itself super useful. Scizor can be defensive or offensive. You usually see it run defensive or more support, pivoting, roost, defog, things like that, but it still hits very hard with Technician. Bullet punches, it's still a great pivoter with U-turn. Has some decent coverage that can hit pretty well with. Good knockoff user. He's got Slow King. I miss you, King me. Slow King started off the season with us. We let it go, and he picked it up. And even though I like the move I made, felt like it needed to happen, I really regretted letting Slow King go when a player as good as Ball picked up Slow King. So he had Pincurchin along with Alolan Raichu for some really nice terrain play. Rhyperior, always a huge threat. You see that 140 base offensive stat with a really good HP and defense also. Not so much special defense, but solid rock really helps it live some hits. Appleton was a really nice pickup. For him. He was saying earlier in the season how he needed a grass type when he was looking for some trades, and he picked up a really good low-tier grass type. Not a great offensive mon by any means, but takes hits really well. And when you're taking hits that well and when you can recover with Leech Seed and Recovery, you can kind of start wearing them on down. Comfey, which as you can see, he's done really well with. Sorry if you can hear that. My cat is playing with a really loud lid, so it's okay. Comfey, really good fairy type for a triage to make Drain and Kiss have priority. As you can see, he's done really well with that. 11 kills with it. And then Basculin's actually a really cool low-tier mon. Good offensive water type with adaptability. But looking at his team, I know I really prepped a lot for Gengar. I really prepped a lot for his electric terrain combo. It felt like anything could come. I was pretty sure Scizor and Hawlucha and Slow King were coming. I think I expected those 3. And then I think I was really expecting Raichu, Pincurchin, and Hawlucha. But I knew there was a good chance Comfey would come too. So that's just kind of what I prepped for. Even with that, though, I'd prepped a few weeks ago. I should have went and double-checked it. I kept getting lazy and thinking, I don't know if we're playing this week, so I won't really double-check it. So I'd made this build a few weeks back, and I think I changed like one thing, but I really probably should have looked at it more. But this is what I had, and upon looking at it, I liked what I had, so I didn't look a whole lot into if I should change things, but as you can see, I had heavy-duty boots on Cinderace, which I'd ran a ton this year. Had to run max speed to be able to outspeed Hawlucha. Unless it was unburdened, then it was going to outspeed me. But Pyro Ball, Sucker Punch to hit something like Raichu with its doubled speed and electric terrain. Sucker Punch would have done a lot of damage. And then Taunt and U-Turn. He did have a lot of things that I would want to taunt, like Pincurchin, Rhyperior, Appleton. So I thought that was a nice play. You can't ever go wrong with Assault Vest Blastoise, it just takes hits so well. So that's Scald, Mirror Coat, Aqua Jet, and Flip Turn. So just wanted to pivot with it a lot with Flip Turn. Wanted to catch something off guard with Mirror Coat, but then once again Aqua Jet was just if I got something like Raichu or Hawlucha really low, needed a little priority to come in and kill. There may have been better moves I could have went with, but I kind of just felt like I needed those. Scorching Sands, Rapid Spin, Trick Room, and Teleport on Shakuamon with a Culver Berry to be able to take a dark type hit from something like Hawlucha, Scizor, etc. to be able to set up that Trick Room. And then the idea with that was to let Copperajazz come in and really do a lot of work on his team. Between Heavy, Slam, Heat, Crash, Power Whip, and Earthquake, if I could get Slowking worn down a bit and I could get this thing with Trick Room, it could just come in and pick up 2 or 3 kills, honestly. Frost and Powers running a little more offensively this week. Gave it HP just because a lot of his team was going to be outspeeding. The idea was to get it in on something that didn't want to take a hit, get behind a sub, and hit it pretty hard, get up a nasty plot if possible, and then the Life Orb just for extra damage. Unfortunately, with Substitute and Life Orb, you do find yourself getting worn down really quick, so I knew this was really probably just going to break one thing or maybe take out 2 things at best, but it was going to get worn down because of that. Then we had Trash Ketchum with the Rocky Helmet, Gunk Shot, Stomping Tantrum, Toxic, and Spikes. You know I love bringing Spikes on this thing. Really makes teams that pivot a lot get worn down. Gunk Shot hit most things. Stomping Tantrum had for his electric types, and I believe not really so much for anything like Rhyperior that would come in. I'd want a Toxic that. Really just no way for this to do anything to Scizor, which is a pretty big bummer, which I knew was coming. Stomping Tantrum also helped with Gengar. I initially had Iron Ball and Fling, so that Iron Ball would make it slow in Trick Room, and then Fling could do a lot of damage to Gengar, but I figured Stomping Tantrum was just probably safer and something I'd have a lot more ability to be able to use, and Rocky Helmet was nice if something like Scizor wanted to keep pivoting around, or something like Hawlucha wanted to hit. Rocky Helmet plus Aftermath is really nice. So that was the squad. Let's hop into the battle. Let's see how I do. Traditionally, don't do super hot against Ball. We've had some really long matches in the past. I think we've had at least 2 matches go like 60-plus turns. But he's always gotten the better of me. He knocked me out of the playoffs last year, and I did play him really close in that match. I think he 2-0'd me, but I was like 1 or 2 plays away from also potentially pulling off a win. But with that said, still never beat him. He tends to bring teams and build teams that I just never expect. And I think that's one because just he's a phenomenal team builder. I can't decide otherwise if that's because he just reads me well enough that he brings a great counter or what it is. But I got to figure that out. And this match, I'm kind of already running into that. I'm looking at Appleton. I did not prep a whole lot for Appleton. I didn't prep a whole lot for Rhyperior. And then Comfey, I thought there was a good chance it was coming, but I don't think I had a great answer. So a lot of his team, I remember kind of looking and thinking, not even really sure what I want to start. So we got Scizor and Rotom Frost from the get-go. So I go ahead and go straight into Garbodor, thinking I can get some Rocky Helmet chip. And of course he knocks off. Great play. So now I don't have the Rocky Helmet to abuse the rest of the game. So he goes for another knockoff. I thought he would... I don't know what I thought he'd do. I don't know if I thought he'd pivot or what. I just didn't expect a double knockoff there because I would start spike stacking. So I think I probably just thought he'd pivot. So I go into Dodger Rabbit. Luckily I get off a taunt on the incoming Appleton. Go ahead and U-turn out. So I don't learn a whole lot. I go into this, which is kind of an obvious play. So he sees that I have flip turn. So now he's got to decide what he wants to bring in on a potential Pyro Ball. I taunt again because Comfey could start using Calm Mind or whatnot. I U-turn and find out that his Appleton is Rocky Helmet. That is going to be a problem because I wanted to pivot a lot with U-turn and flip turn, and he's doing some Rocky Helmet shenanigans of his own, and I was pretty sad about that because I thought my Rocky Helmet Garbodor was going to be pretty cool, but he knocked it off early, and now his Rocky Helmet Appleton is doing a lot of work. So he gets off a pretty good body press on this. I think I go ahead and get behind a sub here. So I'm max HP, so a Raw Draining Kiss is not enough to break sub. So I can get up a nasty plot. And I can go ahead and start hitting hard with Thunderbolt. Figured there was no reason to predict. And at this point, I probably could have picked up another KO. I'm pretty sure that I'm probably faster than Scizor. But at the same time, if it had Bullet Punch, I think I would have expected it to always kill. He ends up not having Bullet Punch this match. So I go ahead and switch. He gets to U-turn. I was bummed out by that. I probably could have gotten another kill. Unless he had speed, he may have been faster. And that may have been his play, to U-turn to kill. So I taunt on Rhyperior. Rhyperior gets off a good Mega Horn. And once again, really good read on his part. And this, you hate to say when you're up, when you've got one of his Mons killed and you've still got 6 Mons, that it felt over. But at this point, I was like, I cannot be taking that kind of damage on Claydol, because Claydol is going to need to get Trick Room up at some point, and it's got to be able to take a hit to do that, because Trick Room's a negative priority move. So even though Claydol is going to be faster than Rhyperior, I can't click Trick Room in front of this because he's got the Mega Horn pressure. So I have to switch. He goes into Scizor again. Okay, and here I find out I was faster. So at +2, I would have killed that Scizor earlier, and it would have been really nice to have Scizor gone. But he feinted. He feigned, however you want to say it. He tricked me out thinking that he'd have Bullet Punch when he didn't. And Slowking really starts to become a problem. I don't have a great answer to Slowking at this point. I want to get it poisoned. He makes the great play into Scizor. And he's got Roost, so killing this thing is going to be tough. I make the switch thinking he'll probably keep roosting on me. Want to see what kind of damage I can get. And Appleton continues to shred me with Rocky Helmet. I should have known that was coming. So, unfortunately, once again, I know Scizor's coming. There's just nothing I can do except hope he stays in. Stomping Tantrum's doing nothing. I kind of just wanted to see what he was going to do. Find out he's got Defog, so now we're playing the hazard games. And he's going to be able to pretty reliably keep them off the field, right? So at this point, I think I might Pyro Ball, because I've been U-turning every play, yeah. So he called that right, knowing that this time I was probably going to switch. So now I got to switch in to Blaster Oogway. Pretty obvious flip turn coming. He gets me with that with the Rocky Helmet again. And Rocky Helmet's just wearing me out. At this point, I wanted to try to... I really wanted to Trick Room, but I knew Apple Acid was going to do a lot. So I just get his rocks off the field. And now the problem is I can't do as much with Copperajazz. And actually, I wanted to have Play Rough, but I just had 4 move slot syndrome, so I figured Heavy Slam would have to do enough. So Appleton was a really great check for him, because that's only doing 48%. So Copperajazz would not have done as much work as I would have liked anyway. So he had this Appleton really answered a lot of my problems. I have a lot of physical attackers, so I'm guessing that Appleton was very much HP and physically defensive. So there just wasn't a whole lot I could do. And at this point, I just know all I'm doing is fighting for a little bit of differential here. But even then, it's going to be very hard for this not to be a 5-0. And I think my face is covering the chat. But at a certain point, I actually wanted to just forfeit. I hate forfeiting. I really hate forfeiting, because that just seems, to me, that seems like giving up and like rage quitting, and I'm not about that. But I did message him at a certain point, was like, I would just forfeit and save us some time, because we know it's going to be 5-0. But I'm like, but I didn't know if there was any certain months you wanted to get your kills, because I think that's kind of part of the fun of winning, is trying to see who's going to get your kills, especially if you've got it wrapped up. You can kind of plan for that. So we all like our stats, so I kind of try to play out to the end, which was probably pretty annoying for him to have to play when he's got it wrapped up. It's taken a while for us to get this game over, but I think he gets Blaster Oogway Toxic here. No, I guess I switched. So at this point, I don't know why I even make this play. I think I'm just kind of clicking buttons, not even thinking at this point. Like, let's just get this game over with. I didn't feel like I played good, but on the flip side, you can look at it as I can look at it as I played bad, or I could look at it as he played really good. It was both. But I never like to take that away from my opponent. If he played better, then if he had more good plays than I had bad plays, that's just a good win for him, right? I don't think I played good. More importantly, I don't think my prep was very good. But when he played really well, I don't want to take that away from the fact that he just won. So, like I said, that's something I've struggled with a lot. Like last season, we played twice. The first game I got obliterated, and he had great answers for my team. And the second game I was able to adapt a little, which was nice to look back and say, well, I made it close this time. This season, this is the only time we played, and he had a really good build for me. And I really do think he just has a really good way of knowing what his opponent's going to bring. So I stay winless in my career against Ball. So this is something to look forward to next season if he's on my schedule, is an opportunity to try to make that flipped around to where I can get a win there. But really good game, Ball. Good luck in the playoffs. He was 2-4, and now that he's beaten me, I can say that he went 3-1 down the stretch, which put him at 5-5. And actually, the one loss was a forfeit just because of lack of time. So he got himself into the playoffs, having to do 4 games in a week, which, and if you ask me, is pretty legendary. But hope you enjoyed the battle, guys. This was a quick one, and I really feel like there wasn't a whole lot to analyze other than the fact that most of the game while I'm playing, I just felt like there's not a whole lot I can do here. And that's really not the attitude to have, but it's not even really – I don't want to say I was not trying because I was mad or anything. I just, looking at the matchup, I kept thinking, what can I do to pull this game back? And I kept coming up with blanks. I felt like I didn't really have the win con I needed. I knew I wanted to get Copperajazz in Trick Room, but even that, he had some pretty good answers to that. So next time I just got to do better. Coming in knowing what type of win condition I want to set up, I need to do better to be able to wear a team like that down better rather than just not trying to lose. You got to look for ways to win too. So that's something I got to do better next time. But as always, was a fun match. Good luck in the playoffs, Ball. And I'm going to hop on out of here, guys. Peace.